Kissinger, also a former monk debater himself, made some remarks this autumn, warning the world about a kind of pre-World War I type scenario that we could be in here, of a rivalry between China and the United States that becomes that spirals and that becomes unhinged from real interests, leading to the potential for conflict, possibly military conflict. Do you see that as all possible? Do the Chinese think about this as a possible end game that needs to be scenarioed out, so to speak?
And Henry Kissinger is an elder statesman, and with his age and his personal experience, obviously, his words count, and we can see a lot of wisdom in his remarks. Both international community and China and the United States should prevent this, what he called the World War I scenario. And but his remarks also reminds me of some remarks made by British philosopher Bertrand Russell when he came to China soon after the First World War. At that time, China was defeated since the Opium War in 1840s. And China intellectuals, said we should copy the Western political system, Western economic system, Western military system, and make China strong. But he counseled China. He said, we have just experienced this First World War. It's the madness of the Western militarist culture. He said, actually, he admired very much Chinese culture for this admiration for peace. And then he made one point, which I think is very sensible. He said that he believed one day China will be able to, it will be capable of self-defense. At that time, China was not capable of self-defense. Today, China has this capability for self-defense, very powerful capability. So now, as he said, Chinese culture for peace will be a tremendous asset for the international community. I think now this is the time China can make contributions about this peace. Indeed, we put forward this idea of shared future for mankind. It's serious, I wonder if only the United States, Donald Trump, could have, agree to this concept, not 100%, 20% or 30%. He could have handled this pandemic 10 times better. He could counsel WHO for cooperation, for advice. He could counsel Chinese for cooperation, for advice. He could have done much, much better, but he did not have this sense. Eventually, it's the indeed interdependent international community, as this COVID-19 shows. People have to help each other, otherwise there's no way out.
Mm-hmm. You must hear this a lot. I mean, there's a perception in some parts of the West here of a hawkish military in China, that there has emerged in China a group who are looking for more direct confrontation with the United States to assert China's rights, and especially in the South China Sea, but more generally, to demonstrate to the world that indeed China has risen to global superpower status. Is that a misperception of the Chinese military and how it thinks about its primary rival, the United States?
And in fact, in all major countries, even small countries, you always have a diversity of opinions, some more hawkish, some less hawkish, some very peaceful. So this is a part of the society. China is no different from other countries. But China is indeed, offended these days by the American aggressive approach. You have the espionage planes day in, day out, close Chinese borders, Chinese facilities, and they have this selling of advanced missiles, weapons to Taiwan, which Chinese view it as naturally part of Chinese territory. And so all these kind of aggressive gestures really offends China. And we understand that it has to do with the campaign politics and with Donald Trump's need for election, need to divert people's attention from his domestic problems, troubles with the pandemic. But that's not the right way, not mature leadership. China has shown tremendous restraint. Otherwise, it could be dangerous. China is a nation which has a long tradition of admiring for peace. For instance, we build great walls rather than invading other countries. When China was 100 times stronger than European powers in the 15th century, and when China sent its navy to Africa, to South China Sea, we did not colonize any country. It's not in our gene, in our blood. We think people can coexist peacefully rather than bullying each other, strong bullying the weak. That's not our mentality. When China first exploded its nuclear device in 1964, China announced to the international community, China will never be the first to use nuclear weapons. China will not use nuclear weapons against non-nuclear weapon states. Given China today's military capability, we can recover all the lost islands in South China Sea overnight. But we did not do that. We prefer negotiated settlement with Chinese neighboring countries. If you look at the United States, in the late 19th century, when the United States became the largest economy in around 1890s, the United States launched this war against Spain and occupied Cuba and Philippines. So Chinese approach is very different. We prefer, we are very cautious on the use of military power. This is based in Chinese old philosophy of Sun Tzu. You must be very cautious on matters of war. And so this is good for international community. I hope the United States could learn something from that. I remember Jimmy Carter said, when he answered a phone call from Donald Trump, he said, why China is surpassing us? He said, over the past 250 years, the United States fought all the time, wars and wars and wars, only 16 years, 16 years without wars. But look at China. In the past 4 decades, no war launched by China. So that makes all the difference. We put money into infrastructure, into technologies, and that makes all the difference. But of course, China has its red lines, which no country can cross. Otherwise, there will be military conflict.